just want to go through a few things that I've done on this early 80s Type 25. Trying to put out a few hints and tips out there for you guys that are working on them. So what I've done is, when going over this vehicle, was to find that the horn wasn't working. So checked out the horn underneath, seemed like it was getting power, push button was working okay, so replaced the horn and still didn't work. And what it used to do was, it used to, rather than go beep, it used to go meep. So I was like, oh, that's not right. So again, cleaned up all the connections, checked for the earthing, checked that it was getting 12 volt, still wasn't working. So I thought, okay, I'll try a different horn. So I tried a more modern style horn, same thing. Went on some T25 forums and some air-cooled forums, and it apparently is a very common thing. So what you need to do, if you have that situation where you're pressing the horn and it's just going meep, yeah, you've checked everything, double up the earth. I've cleaned up the standard earth, I've cleaned up the horn ring, everything is good, I've replaced what's needed, but it was still making that silly noise. So what I've basically done is I've added an additional earth by taking an earth off the actual securing nut that goes onto the steering wheel, the same way as the bay windows would get their earth, and it worked. So straight away, put the key in, press the button, and it works. So if I can get the key in there, see if we can get the right key, because it never is it? You usually get a million. No, not the right key. Perfect for when you're videoing, right? So let's get that in there. Perfect. And now, perfect horn. So the other thing that I've been doing with the Type 25 is replacing the carburetor system. So it had a single carb, which is not great for Type 4 engines, and I've replaced it with a lovely Weber ICT kit. So this one I've put together in-house. It comes as a kit in its component parts. I've rejetted the carbs for the engine size, which is a 2 litre. And as you can see, it's all quite nice and neat and tidy. You get loads more space in the engine bay. It's got a fuel pressure regulator set to 2.1 psi. It's taken the vacuum for the vacuum advanced distributor SVDA off the right hand carb. That's provided enough vacuum. You've got a nice balance pipe that goes from carb manifold to manifold, and you've got your normal servo hose. So all connects up to the original stuff, including oil breather hose, which again is very important and often left out, but you can see how much tidier the engine bay looks, and it runs absolutely superbly. Good miles per gallon, good bit of power when you want it, and just a really reliable bit of kit. So what else did I do on the Type 25? So originally it was a service that I did at the customer's location, so I do mobile servicing. However, he wasn't quite happy with the way that the single carb was running. So these single carbs on Type 4 engines just don't work very well. The Weber 34, 36, they're just awful. They lack preheat and just pig to start, pig to run rich, just not a good idea. So first thing was twin carb conversion, so we converted it with twin Weber ICTs, nicely jetted, which I'll show you in a sec. The other bits and pieces that needed to be done was the pushrod tube seals were leaking. They had previously been fitted poorly, so replaced with some nice German seals. The front right wheel bearing needed to be replaced. Windscreen wipers were really tatty. Horn wasn't working. But the main thing that was causing a bit of a headache for the customer when coming to tune it was the distributive drive gear had actually been put in incorrectly by the engine manufacturer. So I rectified that so that it's basically in the correct way, which means it's much easier to time it with the correct timing marks and the correct distributor position. So that's now all set up timing wise, and obviously is now easier to check and maintain for the customer in the future.